good for now, but I don't know how long I'll be able to go.
Right. Yeah, I know. I can hear you're fading. So
I still feel fine. I just it's just the voice thing. It's nothing else. It's just my voice.
Oh, wow.
all right.
I still feel fine.
There you go. Okay. So YouTube Live is going now. I'm going to let people in. Where did they go? Where did my meeting go? Can you guys see my screen?
I can. Yes.
Oh, there you are. Got it. Okay. We're being live streamed. Yes. And we're going to recording pause. Recording in progress. We're going to get people in. What were you going to say, Jason?
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say anything. Nope.
Do you have video capability, Jason? It is better for audio or for visual purposes if you can. If you can't, that's fine too.
I thought I did. I don't know where.
Call me back.
Let's see here. Yeah. Oh. Yeah,
There we are.
Oh.
Hey.
I forgot to press the button.
Yeah. All right.
A day in the life of me.
Yeah, you're in there. You're good. All right. And we are recording and we are live on YouTube, just so everybody knows. Full disclosure, live on YouTube publicly. And this will be recorded and it will go to our community coaching group where we're trying to help everybody out.
Awesome.
All right. So this is Wayne Winton with Tri-County Locksmith Service. That is my business that we have currently. And then we are bringing together community coach workshop programs. This is a business-based coaching program, and we're actually going to start expanding into other categories as well. Hannah and I are actually going to start working on a relationship program. Awesome. What's more important than home life? Nothing. Having money doesn't mean anything if you don't enjoy your home life. So look for those things. If you're following us on Facebook or Instagram or any of the social pages, then we'll be posting that and coming up with that very soon. Also, another announcement to make is I do deeply, deeply apologize that we did not get a December meeting for community coaching workshop program.
Oh, shit, that's hot.
Things got hectic, unfortunately. So that just happens, unfortunately, from time to time. And we will make it up. There will be one more meeting tomorrow. So today I kind of want to focus on taxes and things like that. Hannah's going to have a little bit more information on what we personally do and how we plan out taxes and pay them and those types of things and how she gets that prepared for my CPA. So I don't have to pay my CPA a small fortune instead of a large one. And she'll have some answers for that. So stay tuned. Community Coach Workshop Program is growing. We are adding and expanding, and I really enjoy it. This is absolutely my new passion. I love locksmithing. Locksmithing puts food on the table, but helping people is more meaningful to me.
Yes.
So, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'll introduce Jason. Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Oh, I'm Jason Mulbert. I have Empire Lock and Alarm, Empire Lock and Safe. We're a small locksmith company in Middle Tennessee. We're the locksmith that the Titans use. I've also got a couple other businesses, just trying to stay busy all the time. Making money to take those vacations and spend time with the family.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. And then you are a certified coach too, right?
Yes, sir.
And where did you get your coaching?
Through Michael Burt's coaching program. He has the Monster Producer program, and I was one of his Monster certified coaches.
Awesome. That's really good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then Hannah Pfaff is here. Hannah Pfaff does the accounting and collections and all of the fun stuff behind the scenes for my business, for Tri-County Locksmith Service. Hannah, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I keep the books. I do the office managing. I'm pretty much the paperwork girl. So I'm getting W-9s to people, getting certifications of insurance to people to make sure that my guys aren't caught in a bind showing up at a job and then not having the paperwork to get paid for said job. So I also do the taxes. I work hand in hand with our CPA to make sure that the big man's getting his money, and I just try to keep things straight. If I don't keep things straight, then we're hit with interest fees and charges and all the stuff that you don't ever want to be hit with from the IRS. So if I can keep my end straight, then these guys can do their thing, and it's a dream come true.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hannah. I really appreciate that.
Awesome.
What is one of the biggest things that you're looking at over the months of December and January? What are you doing, Hannah, to prepare tax information for Megan, our CPA?
So I'm basically going through our QuickBooks, which if you have QuickBooks, if you work with QuickBooks, you know that QuickBooks doesn't keep itself straight. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of maintenance to keep that website up and going. So I'm basically going through and just keeping up with our products and services. I want to make sure that our services are not being taxed. We're not sending out invoices with taxed labor on it. So I'm keeping all those numbers straight, and then I'm going through and getting our report and figuring out exactly how much we're going to owe, so I can get that money in the bank and then have it scheduled to be pulled out of the bank. So it's a long process. It's a couple hours, probably 15 hours a week or a month, I'm sorry. But it keeps the company going. So that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. And this is some of the most important stuff. And this is where I really feel a lot of other businesses, unfortunately, tend to stumble a little bit and tend to fail because they don't think about their taxes. They're so worried about marketing and the product and money coming in and bills and all of the other stuff that's just going on. And they don't get a chance
We're not sending out.
they don't get a chance to think about, oh my goodness, what happens when taxes are due. So then they move, you're just doing all of your regular business day-to-day stuff. You're hustling, you're bustling. Maybe you don't have somebody to do that for you yet. Maybe you're not at that point in your career or at that point in your business, and you have to do everything by yourself. The taxes usually are always the last thing to forget about. And unfortunately, how many businesses, Jason, would you say get shut down or fail or go bankrupt simply because they didn't manage their taxes properly? Just a general off the top of your head idea a year.
Man, thousands across the United States. I mean,
Tens
a
of
bunch.
thousands. Tens of thousands, probably.
Yeah.
So,
Back at one time, we would do with the Department of Revenue, would go and shut down, 10 a day here in the Nashville area.
yeah.
I mean, this is crazy. People just don't realize that the sales tax that they collect, that's not their money. You're collecting that for the state. You can't spend it. The state's gonna want it.
No, exactly. And so, Hannah, what do we do? We're paying quarterly, correct? We keep up on our sales tax. We just basically take what our CPA says and go with that. But what exactly is Megan telling us to do? We pay sales tax quarterly, correct?
That's correct. A lot of businesses, sorry, losing my voice. A lot of businesses do it at the very end. They do a whole year in review kind of payment of taxes. We are a small business, and I would highly recommend to any small business that gets someone like me to do what I do. I would highly, highly recommend looking into quarterly sales tax, because we're paying quarterly sales tax, but we're also, don't overlook the payroll taxes too. So we're paying payroll taxes roughly every 2 weeks. So, and we've got to keep up on those because the IRS is the biggest punisher when it comes to interest rates. They are not lenient. They are not nice to talk to. They will hit you with a huge fee if you're not up to date. So if we can do our sales taxes quarterly, we're getting hit with a much smaller number. That's much more manageable for a small business.
Right.
So yes, I would highly, highly recommend.
Great. So big tips to take away from this are if you have employees, make sure that you pay your employment taxes and everything that goes with that. Everything associated with your employees, you want to keep on top of. As soon as that starts to snowball and get away from you, it is a deep, nasty, ugly hole to try and get out of. It really, really is. And I've been there. I'm speaking from experience. We had a point in time where we weren't paying that. Back when I first started getting employees, I didn't know all of this stuff. So you're literally learning from my mistakes and my pain. I'm sure Jason has some stories about payroll taxes, which we'll get into in just a second. But I can tell you from personal experience, it is an unpleasant slap in the face with a taxation stick that you will not forget. And if you don't keep on top of it, they will just take everything until they get their money. They will get their money back. If they have to close your business down, they'll just liquidate assets and they will just crush you until they get what they need. So as Jason said, it's not your money anyways. Don't pretend that it is. A lot of people even have separate bank accounts that just go for taxes. So Jason, what do you have to say on that? Payroll taxes, extra account. What do you guys do over there with your employees and your taxes?
Well, my wife, she has her accounting degree and all of that, so she kind of takes care of all that. So I'm really blessed in the fact that I don't have to deal with it personally. It's a huge headache for her. I know she spends hours each week on it. Our biggest thing is we would rather pay too much than not enough.
Right.
We want to pay it before it's due, not after it's due. And pay more than we owe instead of less. I don't want any headaches. And I've personally seen, in Tennessee, the Department of Revenue, I've went out as a locksmith with them and helped them seize assets. You're absolutely right. They will take your business. They will go in and they will have a locksmith change the locks on your business. They'll put a big chain and a sign on the door saying that you're closed down. Ugh. It's embarrassing because everybody that comes up sees this big red sign that says, seized. It's the Department of Revenue's property. I mean, oh man, it's a nightmare. And it could all be avoided by just paying your taxes.
Yep.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Please don't take this as something to scare you guys. If you're looking into this, do it. Just plan. Plan.
Exactly. Those numbers come across and you know how much QuickBooks tells you, correct? In the accounting portion of it, it keeps track of that. So you can keep an idea, correct, Hannah?
Yes, when your QuickBooks is running smoothly. So if you're in it tweaking your QuickBooks, 8 to 10 times a year, you will get the correct numbers. If you don't, and you have an accountant or someone that, just accountant that doesn't even work for you, an accountant can easily look at your books and tell you that number within an hour or two. So spend the money to get an accountant that will help you and be helpful to you. It's totally worth it.
Exactly. And I just want to put a disclaimer out right now. None of us in this room are CPAs. None of us are certified to, give professional advice. All we're doing is we're having a discussion based on what we've already encountered. And we're simply giving that information and telling that story to everybody that's involved here so that you have a little idea to plan and kind of know who to go through. But please always, always, always trust your paid CPA. They're going to give you the best advice because you've hired them. We're just trying to pull those hidden booby traps out of your way that we got caught up in. Like I said, payroll taxes is a nasty slap in the face. You think employees are hard to deal with, start paying taxes on their payroll on top of it, and then miss a month or two and have to catch up and get out of that hole. It is extremely brutal. It is nasty. It is not fun at all. Jason, what have you had encountered with payroll taxes? Do you have any good juicy stories?
No, I really don't. We've really tried to just stay on top of it. I mean, I guess it's sad, but I've kind of went into it with, a bit of fear. I mean, that's kind of always been my biggest thing is I've been afraid of getting an audit or, dinged by the government or something. So we've always kind of approached it from a position of fear and always tried to pay everything, that we owe as soon as it's due, if not sooner.
Exactly.
So no, so far we haven't gotten any trouble or anything.
No, I didn't mean getting in trouble.
No.
I just meant when you first brought employees on, how was that learning curve for you?
Well, there again, Veronica takes care of all that for us. And, it was a bit of a learning curve for her. She actually went out and hired a payroll company that kind of does our payroll. So, we submit their hours and all of that, and the payroll company automatically takes the money out of our account and, all of that stuff. So that's, again, something that we don't really have to deal with.
You're extremely lucky.
Yeah.
It's for that. Does
When
anybody have any? Huh?
When you're not really smart, you gotta be lucky.
Well, yep. That's the only way we've made it this far.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'll just put it out there too. Hannah might be getting a little sick or having a little cough or something going on. So she's losing her voice. As soon as that happens, we'll just switch it over to me being able to put that in. She'll put it in the chat box and then I can reread it from there. So she's just being a trooper hanging out with us and answering these questions as we go along. Do we have any people in the Zoom meeting that have any questions on paying your sales tax or payroll taxes or how to prepare for these kinds of things so you don't get put in a nasty bind come tax season? Go ahead and unmute your microphone or ask it in the chat box if you'd like. Questions, comments, concerns? Don't be shy. Now's the time to ask. Nobody? Go ahead, Randy.
I don't have a question, but if anybody's interested, they may, excuse me, they may want to try reading the book Profit First. It helps people try to compartmentalize where their money is going, and taxes are included in that. So just something to think about. Again, the book is Profit First. It's by Mike Michalowicz, Michalowicz, and it's really helpful book.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that book before too, and I believe I read it. It's probably in my Audible library, but yes, that's a really good option right there. Any kind of basic business book should give you some kind of information on how to structure your taxes, how to at least save some money for them, and keep an idea of how much you're racking up until you have to pay that. And then the sooner you can pay, the better is usually the go-to on that for sure. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
Another book.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I saw somebody in here with a chat named Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
I don't think he's supposed to be a part of this.
Ben's talking about me.
Okay. Let's remove them. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you. Anybody else?
Another good book is Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright.
Okay.
I've got that one on Audible. Man, it's got all kinds of great information. Tom was one of the co-authors of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep. What's his last name?
Wheelwright, WheelWright.
Cool. And what was the name of the book? Tax-Free Wealth?
Tax-Free Wealth. Yes.
Sweet. I'm going to put that in the chat box as well. Anybody that's looking to get these books, please do. I mean, this is, hopefully we're all working people here. You're in the car. You can learn instead of playing the same song for the 47,000th time. Get some education in your life and feed your mind. Almost any of the really successful people that you see putting on workshops and, personal development, business coaching classes, any of that stuff, every single one of them will tell you that they feed their mind every single day. They have a book, they have a class, they have a program, they have a podcast that's based on business related things or things to help them improve their business, not just listening to the same stuff over and over and over again. So please make sure that if you want to stay on top of your game and you have a subject that you're lacking knowledge in, there's so many tools available right now. This group is one of them for more personal interaction, one-on-one action. There's just so many resources right now, and people are not taking advantage. It's almost like there's too much, like drinking from a fire hose. There's almost too much information. So you need to get a hold of one or two people that are really, really good and really relate to what your style is, and then follow those people and utilize the content that they provide. Read their books, take their classes, do their workshop programs, and get everything you can out of it. I cannot stress that enough. Seat time is valuable time that you can really use to learn every single day. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. This is how I do everything that I do. This is how we have a locksmith business with 2 techs on the road that's doing really well right now. That's how we can start the community coaching workshop business. That's how I can do all of these different things and go out and bid jobs and do, I can wear 3 or 4 different hats in one single day, is because we have organization and we utilize the tools. There's usually never a lack of resources available. There's only a lack of resourcefulness to be able to grab those tools and put them to work for you. Do you have anything to add to that, Jason?
No, that's exactly right. I remember the days when I used to listen to music, and I don't think I've listened to a song in a long time. Yeah, you got to get the knowledge, and it's so inexpensive. I mean, just an Audible account, you're paying like $15 a month, and the books, you keep them forever. Listen to them a couple times a year. I think I've got like 180 books in my library, and I set out each month with so many books that I want to listen to, and some of them I'll listen to once or twice a year just to pick up the knowledge again. So yeah, it's a great way to learn and listen.
Exactly. And that's amazing. What else do you start doing around this time of year for tax purposes? Like, do you kind of do a little brief rundown? Did we make too much money? Is it time to buy some new cars, vehicles, vans, key machines? What else are we looking for here?
Well, that's towards the middle to the end of December. This time of year, it's almost too late. But it's funny, when I bought my last truck, that was the reason that I bought it. I was getting ready to have to pay a lot of tax. So I got a great deal on the truck. But the dealer, she was telling me, she said, this time of year is our busy time because all of the contractors come in and buy their trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, I mean, this is something they don't teach you as a small business owner, and I didn't know this kind of stuff until I listened to the book Tax-Free Wealth, and then I got to looking at some of the stuff on how my dad used to run the business way back when it was his, and some of the vehicles that he bought. He used to buy the Chevy Astro vans. I used to think they were great vans, but
Yep.
They didn't have the headache rack between the front seat and the back. Well, as I was reading the tax code, that one headache rack, that's something that allows you to qualify for Title 179 as opposed to not being able to qualify for it. So my dad, he was writing the vans off over like 5 years, and it didn't really help him a lot. But if he would have bought one with a headache rack, he could have wrote it all off the first year and been in a better place as far as taxes goes. So
Right.
just listening to books and learning stuff like that will make a huge difference in your business. And I didn't know all that stuff, but now I see what the car dealer was saying. I see all these contractors coming out and buying new trucks. Towards the end of the year, that's time to get your stuff.
Right. And now it's even more of a bizarre process because there still is a vehicle shortage to some degree. And we were in another meeting not too long ago where a representative from Ford or a Ford dealership out of Michigan was part of one of our locksmith meetings, and they were saying next year is going to be the same way. It's if you want a truck a year from now, place your order now, and you might get it.
Yeah.
And they open up the window, like they say, all right, we're taking orders for Ford F-350s. We're taking orders for Ford F-150s. We're taking orders for Ford Focuses. And they're opening it up for a couple weeks. They take all the orders in, the pre-orders, and then boom, that's it. And that's all you get. And maybe the dealerships put some of their own orders in, but that's pretty much what you're going to get. We still have not recovered fully from that chip shortage and just from resources shortage for making all of these vehicles. So getting a new vehicle these days is nowhere near as easy as it used to be. If you got a truck and it gets wrecked, you're either buying something used or you're waiting a very, very, very long time.
Yep.
Matter of fact, his words were, if you have vehicles running on the road, take care of them.
Yes.
Yeah, my truck's been in the shop for 4 months now.
Yeah. What happened to your truck, Bobby? Tell us about it.
I was pretty much driving down the freeway, and there goes the catalytic converter. And they've had trouble finding parts for it forever now. It's still been into the shop, and they tried fixing the catalytic converters, and now they're saying that it's something electrical.
It's because you drive Ford.
Uh-oh.
You want to get into this, man, right now?
Dude,
No.
Ram all the way, dude.
Uh-oh.
Ram.
Dude, your Ford's a piece of junk. Be quiet.
All right. That's
Yeah,
enough of that.
Ford.
Fuck you, bitch.
We're not going to do
Ram
that.
25 Big horn, baby.
Oh, we're going to start kicking people out of the meeting if we're going to do that.
All right, I'm
Does
sorry.
it really mean? Yeah.
Continue. You can continue.
Sorry, master.
Move. All right, there we go.
What type of truck do you have?
Me personally,
Yes, sir.
we drive a Ford F-350.
Heck yeah, brother. Is it Super Duty?
Yes, it is.
Is it diesel?
Yes, it is.
Is it deleted?
Not yet.
Eco diesel?
No, just a regular.
Oh, I got you. DF?
Still has it. Yep. But we're getting a little bit off topic.
Sorry, sir.
So for the rest of your vehicles, you should be trying to keep what you have on the road. If you are planning on buying something new, plan it a year ahead until that changes. Hopefully that'll change within the next year, and we'll get back where we used to be, where you can actually go to the dealership and actually pick something up when you want it and have it and drive it home that day. What are you guys doing for vehicles, Jason? Are you adding anything to your fleet this year, or did you last year?
I need to. I didn't add one last year, but I definitely need to. Now with Justin working for us and everything, I think we're going to have to go out and buy a big Sprinter or something like that. We're trying to keep our E150 and E250, trying to keep those in good shape. And so far, they've been great. We still keep the Uplander as a backup, run a few jobs out of it every now and again. My Ford F-150, I use that just on small jobs and stuff, running around picking up parts and stuff like that. It's great for that. The Hummer, its only purpose is to carry the Razor down to the stadium.
And you buzz around in the Razor. You actually are one of the only people I've ever seen that has a side-by-side, a Razor, Polaris Razor side-by-side to run around at the stadium, because it's not economical to run a full-size vehicle around there to do lockouts.
My
You have
Razor,
a massive amount of traction, people, and a ton
like his
of.
Razor's slower than mine.
What is it?
My Razor got twin turbos on it.
Yeah, I don't need a turbo. I'll get in trouble with that. I'll run over somebody or something.
I already ran over somebody, but it was an accident. Nobody was hurt in the accident though.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you got your hand up. Go ahead, Mike Oxlong. You there?
Sorry, no, that was that was why I was raising my hand.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, the funny thing, you talk about taxes and everything. Well, that was part of the reason that we bought the razor. And at first, my CPA, she's like, no, you're not doing that. And I'm like, look, I have to have it. And she's like, no, you can't do locksmithing out of a razor. And after I sent her the picture of it sitting in front of the stadium, she's like, well, okay,
It fits.
there you
It
go.
fits. You know,
Yeah.
one of the other guys that I've actually worked with, he got one for plowing his driveway.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a real nasty driveway, doesn't have four-wheel drive. And they use it to clear the parking lot and stuff for around the trucks and the vans.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
sure, an ATV or four-wheeler could be an expense. So if you've got some money that you want to reinvest in something this year, you can certainly do that. And it doesn't have to be a vehicle either.
Right. And if you are buying vehicles, if you're using Title 179 of the IRS code, you've got to keep it for 2 years. If you sell it within the 2 years, they can take back some of the write-off. So, that's something real important to remember. Whatever you do buy, you've got to keep it 2 years.
Right. That's
Yep.
all good information. Good information. Do we have any other questions about vehicles, what you can and can't purchase? Spending money at the end of the year, trying to stay into that tax bracket. Is that what you do? Do you look and see how much money you've made over the year and what your profit is, and then what you want to reinvest in?
We mostly just invest in what we need, and pray. But yeah, if the numbers are looking good, I'm like, oh, we got to go buy something. So yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Does anybody else have questions that's actually in the Zoom meeting? Questions, comments?
Nigger!
Oh my gosh. And they gotta go. Man, we got to figure out a way how to screen these people.
Coming out of the woodwork tonight.
They're coming out of the woodwork tonight. All right. What else do we have going on here?
Uh,
For the rest,
in 2021, I was very busy, and on weekends, too laxed, and I didn't get my taxes to the CPA in time. And they put extensions on, but I was still late for them. But thank God I paid too much in quarterly taxes where I didn't get hurt too bad.
yeah.
I didn't get hurt at all. I just had to pay more at the end of the, but I just didn't keep up on it. This year I'll have to.
Yeah. How are you doing this year?
Oh, I'm right with it. The sales tax, that's no problem. I can get that done in 20 minutes in the night,
Right.
It's what I take to the CPA. I was just very laxed on it.
Yeah.
So I just gonna stay on top of it this year.
Right. And you're doing that. You're able to stay on top of it. You got a separate account, or you're just paying on top of keeping up on top of it, not letting
Keep it
it
on
turn
top
into
of
a
it,
giant hole.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. And another thing, what I do is I'm a big local race car track, go to races a lot with a few friends, and I sponsor a lot of race cars in. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm allotted so much per year. So I sponsor like 35, 40 cars.
Oh, wow.
That's a great question. Does anybody have any different platform than QuickBooks? Is anybody using a different tax software program?
I don't use any.
Anybody else in the group? Do you use any different program than QuickBooks? We've tried other ones like Workies. They're just expensive. It was like $200 a month. And then what really irritated me was they had a great introductory fee. I think it was, what was it, Hannah? Was it like $50 a month?
It was $37 a month for the first 2 months, and then they bumped it up to $198
Oh, wow.
or $208 or something without telling us.
Oh,
And unfortunately, we had just gotten all of our stuff switched over. It was working really well. It was a lot of work. It was a week. It was probably a week straight of work to get
Oh.
everything from QuickBooks to Workies, because that's what they promised us, and then they bumped us like severely. So
Yeah. And
so we
it's
moved
like
everything back.
it's like they bait and switched us, to be 100% honest. It was, and that was really one of the reasons it irritated me and we got rid of them. I almost would have kept it if it wasn't such a, it really was like a bait and switch. Like, here's the price. Okay, $37 a month. I can do that. I would have paid up to $50-$60 a month for it. And you got to figure over a year, anything under $1,000 I would have paid for. And then all of a sudden it went all the way up to $200 a month. Now, $200 a month, you're over $2,000 a year. It's crazy. So QuickBooks does everything, sometimes kind of, sort of, if you put enough duct tape and bubble gum into the equation. I can see Jason laughing. I can see Hannah's probably laughing too. But there's just, I really haven't found, none of us have found a really good alternative to it, because that's what all the CPAs are going to use anyways. They're going to dump it in. Even things like TurboTax, it's owned by QuickBooks. MailChimp, owned by QuickBooks. Every time something pops up, the 800-pound gorilla, QuickBooks, either buys it and kills it, or buys it and then forces you to run it through their platform and program. So it is what it is. Is anybody else running their invoicing off of QuickBooks right now?
We are.
You are? Are you charging credit cards and everything through it? Do you like that system?
The lockouts, we use Square because it's faster. But everything else we're running through QuickBooks, and all of the guys have tablets or smartphones in the trucks, and they use QuickBooks with that. It's great. We love it. Veronica really loves it. I'm kind of slow. My learning disability has really got me when it comes to QuickBooks. You'd think I'd be able to do it by now, but I still struggle with it a little bit. But everybody else seems to really just love it. Very easy to use. The customers, they like it because you can send a link to pay, so they can click right on the invoice and pay from the invoice. So yeah, it's pretty convenient.
Awesome stuff. Have we missed anything else, Hannah? What else do you do for getting taxes prepared for this time of year for the CPA?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I go just through the products and services and make sure we're not taxing things that we're not supposed to be taxing. I have to keep up with tax rates because we serve such a large area. Being such a small business, we serve such a large area. And it drives the accountants insane that we serve such a large area, because we have like 14 sales rates. So, and they're very different all throughout the valley. So it's harder for them in that aspect than it is for me. I just make sure that they're inputted, so in the system, and then we have to make sure that the guys are putting in the billing address. And if you're not doing that, then you have to go back at the end of every 2 or 3 months and make sure that those invoices are being charged to the correct tax area, if that makes sense.
Right.
If they don't, they're going to the default, which for us isn't great, because 8.6% is the default for us, and it's one of the highest in Colorado. So it's just no fun. That's the really the part that is really not a lot of fun for me or the accountants, but it's got to get done. So, and if it's getting done, we're running smooth, everything's good, and everyone's happy,
Do you want to dive into that a little bit further? So to run and operate a mobile service business where you're actually selling goods and services, number one, you're going to have to check your own local and state laws and county laws and everything. But here, what Hannah's saying is if we do service in, let's say, Glenwood Springs has their own city sales tax and their own tax equation for that area. And then, so you have to add the city and the county and the state taxes up together, and those add up to different percentages, starting with 8.6 roughly in the Glenwood area and going all the way up to 10, wasn't it 10.3%, Hannah, in Snowmass?
Oh, you're right. It is higher in Snowmass. Yeah, I think it is above 10% in Snowmass now. That's another thing. Some states, you don't need operating licenses in different counties, I guess. So we have to get, every year, we have to get a new updated tax, something that says that we can do business in that area, right? So that's another big thing that you have to keep up on. You've got to read your own laws and make sure that if your state is either that kind of state or one that doesn't require that. But if you are a mobile business here, we do have to register with every single town, every city, every municipality. So it gets a little crazy. That's a big chunk of sales tax at the end of the year. If that's not right, then none of your numbers are going to be right. And you could very well be paying a lot more in taxes than you really should be.
Right. And that's right about, excuse me. I think that's so each city, you're going to have to apply for a different sales tax license. And that's what brings those different numbers into the equation. And it is very, very difficult to keep track of all that, especially when we're serving like some of the rural areas that we're serving. A lot of people don't have that problem. You know, if you live in Denver or a big city, you've got enough population in that very small area to go ahead and serve that area and not have to travel into a bunch of different counties and a bunch of different service or city areas. Here we have a bunch of small little communities, 6, 7, 10,000 people, but we have to serve 10 of them or more, depending on where we're at, because we go all over the state. Add into that equation that we do something that most people don't do. There's probably 5 qualified high quality technicians, safe technicians in the whole state that can do some of the things that we do with high security safes and vaults and things like that. And so now we're even traveling even further. We're going to Colorado Springs. We're going to Boulder. We're going to Denver. We're going to Steamboat. We're going to, we've been all over this state. And you really do run into a significant problem trying to establish how you can do sales tax and apply for those sales tax licenses in those individual areas, especially areas where we don't service that often. So that's why we try and keep a lot of it service-based. Some different states, they actually charge sales tax service, the sales tax on service. Do they do that in your state, Jason? Do they charge sales tax?
No, they don't.
No
Not
service
on
sales
service.
tax?
Not
Okay.
on service.
I can't
Just on
remember.
parts.
You're in Tennessee. I think it's
Yeah.
Kansas. I think it's Kansas. Somebody was telling me about that. I think it was Paul or it was Jason or somebody. Or I'm sorry, Josh Sands was telling us that you got to tax everything there, which would be a bigger nightmare.
I think California is that way because we flew to California and it, doing the job was easy, but the money, it created a bit of a issue.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we all know California's got their hand out. they got a big mouth to feed over there with taxes, man. That's I would not want to be there right now. I would not want to be there. And then Hannah, what else happened this year for taxes? They voted in a 57-cent service delivery fee.
Oh wow. Oh,
which goes on every invoice that we make. We decided not to do it. We do it when we can, but sometimes you inevitably are going to miss it. But yeah, it's this 57% charge that or 57%, sorry, no, 57 cents on every single invoice that we make that has sales tax on it. Oh. Yeah, so if you have any parts, you have to add this to it, or else you're paying it out of your pocket, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but with the amount of invoices that we're doing in just our small business alone, that on a bad day could be, I don't know, $15, which isn't really a lot, but like in the grand scheme of things. But so we have gone the the route of becoming lump sum contractors for the most part. So most of our parts that we actually do put on people's invoices, they're not taxable because they are installed. Like the Marksum 99 installed price. So we don't have to charge sales tax if we're installing it and it's a service. Deadbolts installed or key copies made, so that's a good way to avoid that. But again, if you want to go that route, talk to your CPA. He or she is going to have much better information for you than I can give you now. But that's a good way to avoid that if you are in Colorado.
Right. And so I want to clarify and dive a little bit deeper into that. We're not doing the 57 cent charge.
Right.
We are simply just saying, this is not worth my time to poke this extra button, to add it to the invoice, to add more line items to it, to actually charge it to the customer. So what I've elected to do, we are still paying that tax. We're still getting on every invoice where there's a service call and delivery, which is everything that we do, because we don't even really have an open public shop at this time. We just add up all that and we just pay it. And I'm just considering it part of doing business, as opposed to having to add that and have all the guys add that. Because you got to think about it. You're unlocking a car for some mom who locked her kid in the car. The kid locked themselves in the car. She's frantic. Everybody's panicking. Kids freaking out. Everything is going on all at once. And you know what she wants? She wants to give you the money, get in the car and get home and forget that this all happened. She doesn't want to sit there while you poke 17 buttons trying to come up with every little, specific thing on there. So that's why we elected to do it the way that it was.
And customers will point that out. They will look at your invoice and they will email me.
Yeah. What is that?
Being the one who gets the emails in the operations area of the business, they will email me and say, what is this? And then I'll have to say, this is a new law. And, Governor Polis signed it in. And unfortunately, this is something that we have to follow. So it's in the grand scheme of everything. It's much easier for us to just eat it. We're still paying it. But like I said, most of our invoices don't even need it because we've gone the lump sum route. So it's very rare that we'll see an invoice that just has a part on it. What you're just selling a deadbolt to someone or whatever. We don't do that. We install. So.
Right. And we discussed this at length with the CPA. And we also talked to an attorney and got them involved as well. And what lump sum contractor rules do, in at least here in Colorado, is if you're getting a roof, you don't pay for every nail that's going into the roof. When you rekey a lock cylinder, you don't charge for every pin and spring that you put in that cylinder. It's just a service. You're rekeying the lock, right? So what we were able to do is, I believe the requirements are that it has to be to apply for a lump sum contractor and be protected under that. It has to be bolted onto the house. So obviously door locks and hardware and things like that, smaller items can just go on. And it's really about the service call to come out. It's about the labor that was involved with that. And the part is really just kind of a throwaway item. We're taking a $20 or $30 deadbolt. We're selling it for, $40 or $50. And then if you do that, if you break it down into line items like that, then you have to pay that sales tax on there. That's the other requirement for that as well. You can't upcharge it. If you bought it for $20, you have to sell it for $20, and then your labor to install it makes up for that on the backside. So just to give you a rough idea of how that works, if we were to come out to a call in Aspen, it's $148 service call. We're going to install a deadbolt $50 or whatever class they decided to pick, call it $20. So now you're at $148 or $188, and then we have roughly an hour labor, another $140 or $137 to go into that. We have a way to set that all up, or we also have a button that says it's $285 for a deadbolt installation. This confuses the customer less. Yes. Imagine picking up the phone. When you pick up the phone, explain it two ways to your customer. Explain it like this. Get one customer and say, hey, how much is a deadbolt installation? Well, the service call is this much. To match it and rekey it to your existing keys is this much. Is it a fresh installation? We got to drill the hole. It's going to be this much. Then we got to install the lock and it's going to be this much. That's 4 or 5 different pieces of information that you're going to have to convey to them that they're trying to unscramble and itemize versus how much is it to get a deadbolt on my house? $285. So come do it today. Thank you. Goodbye. Which one do you want to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
They just want a number.
They just want a number. And you can do that. You can still even do that. Even if your state doesn't allow lump sum contractor laws or it doesn't allow these different things, you can still do that. And you can still have a flat fee and then just say plus tax. So, you know, if we're in Jason's state and maybe that doesn't fly there, and you have to itemize everything out, you could still say, all right, roughly the deadbolt cost me this much, roughly the service costs this much, roughly this is this much. So you can tell them, all right, well, this is a $285 call plus tax. And then the tax will just be on that one particular item. So 2 completely different ways to break it up, 2 different ways to look at it. Again, as always, make sure you check with your CPA and your attorney. There's no 2 better people that you can have in your life when making that decision. And it'll either help you and speed you up and make you more streamlined like we did. It also helps the guys out. We're back to that invoice thing, right? Deadbolt installation is 1 button. Deadbolt installation, deadbolt, rekey, service call, hour labor. Now I've got 4 or 5 line items here. And they're pulling up their invoice and they keep getting the charge. It actually almost creates a little more anxiety in people and makes them think that you could possibly be doing, you know, something maybe not so kosher because you have so many line items in there. And then weird random taxes like service fee tax delivery. There are people, like Hannah said, they'll call in and they'll be like, is this a BS charge or what is this? Because there are some people that will scrutinize that like a receipt at a restaurant and look over every Coke, everything that was ordered, every chip, every salsa, everything. And they'll go through and they'll itemize it and they'll be like, hey, these numbers don't add up. What are you trying to do here? And then you got to go ahead and explain the whole thing. What is all of that doing? It's taking away time from doing business, collecting a check, putting it in the bank, and going to the next job to collect another check to put in the bank. That's my philosophy on it. What are your thoughts, Jason, based off of that?
Here in Tennessee, it's a little bit different. Actually, I was talking to one of the revenue agents about this. Keys, for instance. If I give keys to a customer, since I bought them at wholesale and didn't pay tax on them, I would have to charge the customer tax on those keys. Well, if I give the keys to the customer, then somebody still has to pay tax on them. So even if it's a gift, there's taxes that are owed. Now, a couple HVAC guys that, you know, I've coached, they do theirs a little bit different. When they buy it, they pay tax on the product. And that way, when they sell it to the customer, they don't have to charge tax.
I forgot to mention that. I forgot to mention that you do have to pay tax from your supplier, from your wholesaler. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a huge key component that I just completely washed over. And I forgot because it's automatic for us. So yes, we automatically pay sales tax on the things that we purchase from the suppliers. You know, whoever it is, even if it's out of state supplier, even if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever, or you go to your local supplier, pay taxes on it there. And that's when you can't, as soon as you mark it up again, then you got to charge sales tax on it again. But if it's that same price, if it's, I bought it for $20 and I sold it for $20, you don't have to double dip like that. So thank you for bringing that up. That's an amazing point that I'm glad we covered.
A lot of people just don't know that, you know? So, I mean, something as small as giving away a few keys, you know, it seems harmless, but at the end of the year, you know, you really can get in some trouble with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can get in a whole world of trouble for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What else do you guys do, over there on your side of the hill there, Jason, for taxes? And do you guys have a lump sum contractor program like that, or?
Not that I'm aware of. So, you know, we're sitting there calculating out tax on everything, all the products that we sell. I wish we did have a lump sum program. That would be, wow, that'd be great. But yeah, we're stuck calculating it all out.
That's great. Hannah, one other thing. How often does QuickBooks change our tax bracket situation or our tax situation? How many times do we have issues or line items like service calls that are non-taxable, and then all of a sudden QuickBooks just randomly decides, hey, you're taxed now?
So this is not something that I ever paid attention to for the first probably 6 months with the company, because I thought that QuickBooks was good. That was before I gave it the nickname that I now call it. You can let your imagination figure out what I call it now. But when I realized that sometimes it would revert. So we have service calls. We have a service call to Rifle. We have a service call to Silt. We have a service call to Newcastle, Carbondale, all of our service call areas in those tax brackets. A lot of times when I go over our sales tax, I do go over it quite a lot now, because those service calls, which are pure labor, they should not be being taxed. I'll go in sometimes just to look and make sure everything's straight, and I'll see that 5 or 6 of our service calls are taxable now.
Wow.
So, and that's really hard, because I do get customers, the customers who are savvy with taxes, they'll call me, they'll email me and say, hey, why is this, what are you guys doing over there? You just trying to take extra money from us, or, and that's unfortunate, because we, in a small valley, in the place where we serve, it's really important to keep our reputation squeaky clean. And when QuickBooks goes in and screws up our taxes, and then all of a sudden people are paying tax on top of labor, and then they're questioning me about it, it feels kind of slimy to them. And then, and that leads to bad reviews. And when really we're not trying to do that to our people. We love our people in our valley, and we would never do that. But you really have to pay attention to that. So if you are running QuickBooks right now, I would highly recommend that you would go through your products and services at least once a month, guys. Just get in there and make sure that none of your labor items are being taxed, and that all of your, parts are being taxed. It's really simple. It doesn't take long when you know that it's happening. So check it out. If it's not happening for you, wonderful. It does happen for us quite often. So I'm changing those things at least once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Wow.
It's insane how often she has to do that. It's actually ridiculous. And then, of course, who's the one that foots the bill for that and suffers because of it? Because QuickBooks doesn't have their stuff together. Well, now she has to put extra time into it, and that takes more time and resources out of the company so that she can do that. And I'm extremely thankful that she does it, and I'm extremely thankful that she has caught it, and that we have to do that once a month. It sucks that we have to do that. They should be a one and done, and then they should be able to save it. And then if there's any issues moving forward after that, QuickBooks should really be the one that's held accountable for that, because it's their software that can't save the settings that you specifically set it on. And if we just didn't acknowledge it, and all of a sudden some things are getting charged and some things aren't, and we just let QuickBooks go haywire on there, I mean, that would be an auditing nightmare. Can you imagine what the books would look like if nobody was paying attention to this? If she wasn't doing that every single month, it would be awful. Jason, does your wife have any questions or issues like that? Does she have anything?
So far we hadn't had any issues, and
really,
I don't really understand that, but so far we haven't. That's
I guess
weird.
we got the lemon then. We got the QuickBooks lemon. It seems like nobody else has these problems, and I sometimes have to re-examine myself. Like, am I stupid? Like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? But I know it's not me.
No, it's QuickBooks is stupid. Unfortunately,
I could definitely see it doing that. I mean, I personally haven't had great experiences with it, But so far, Ronica hasn't said we've had any issues. Wow, man, that's a nightmare. I'm sorry y'all are going through that. Oh,
It is
man.
brutal. It is brutal.
Wow.
It is brutal. And it's not just, oh, there's a glitch and we'll fix it. This has been going on for how many years, Hannah?
Wow.
I started paying attention to it about 6 months after I started with you. So 2.5 years. And now I'm so good at it. I'm a freaking machine over here. I can go through, I can fix it. And at the end of the day, I'm proud of myself because I caught it and I'm like, yes, I caught it this time.
Wow.
But then the problem is going back through the invoices that haven't been paid. A lot of times going through the invoices that haven't been paid as well. They're the companies that you have to, like the NSPs, like the national service providers that we all know and love dearly. They are, that's sarcasm if anyone didn't catch that. We can't stand the NSPs, but we work for them. But a lot of times if my guys go out and they do a job and they submit an invoice with the paperwork, everything looks good. It takes 2 or 3 weeks for it to get to the accounting department. No one pays attention to it if they're not in the accounting department. And then when it gets to the accounting department, they email me and say, hey, what is this? Like, what, you're charging us sales tax. You don't charge us sales tax. So then I have to take it, edit it, send it back in. And then it's another 2 or 3 weeks before we get paid. So NSPs already don't pay for 4 weeks at least, right? 4 to 6 weeks. And then with that error that QuickBooks made, we don't get our money, and then it's hard to make, like, sometimes we think about like paying our guys and we can't, you're paying your guys with money that you don't have from that particular job. And sometimes it was an overtime job. And, it's just, it creates a whole nightmare. It's awful.
And I imagine you would have to give a refund back to the ones that you charge tax that have already paid it without noticing, wouldn't you? Oh my God, what a nightmare.
We could also, there's another way to do that. If I accidentally charged you sales tax $11.75 or whatever it was,
Right.
I can credit your account and I can call your accounting department and just say, hey, I just want to let you know, we overcharged you. We're really sorry about that. Just know we're not trying to be slimy.
Oh, wow.
We have put that on your account. So then that just comes off the next bill. So that part is really the easiest part of the situation to deal with. And just being upfront and honest with our customers earns us business, if you even just do something like that, it's you get so much more business and people are so much happier with you. And so sometimes it works out for us to accidentally charge sales tax.
A lot of times fixing a mistake, how you fix it works better for you than not having one.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. So mistakes are stepping stones. We all make them. Sometimes they are really helpful. Definitely blessings to the company, for sure. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. We really appreciate it. Jason, do you have any final words here? We got about an hour in the bank. I like to try and keep it about an hour. Too much more and people tend to lose interest. They just don't have time for it. Too less and it's almost not worth showing up. So that hour mark seems to be a real nice staple mark. What do you want to close on?
Well, years ago when I was a captain at the fire department, this was before 9/11 and all that, we used to sit out on the bumpers of the truck and wave at the cars when they go by and would say, pay your taxes. Well, that's kind of what I want to say tonight. Just pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes.
I couldn't think of anything better. Hannah, do you have anything to close the evening out with for some of these guys that may not have somebody like you to do this for them? Just any suggestions that they may need to hear from you, some little tips.
QuickBooks can give you a pretty accurate assessment of how much you're going to owe in sales tax. I won't say it's exact because I know that my QuickBooks is never exact. It's pretty far off, but yours, if you don't have a QuickBooks like mine, you should get a pretty good estimate. of how much you're going to owe for sales tax. Just like Jason said in the beginning, start a new bank account and just try to funnel a little bit of money here and there, from every week that you're in business, every week that you're doing well, just funnel some money in there. Don't touch it. I promise you it will come in handy at the end of the year for taxes. So if you don't have someone like me, just do that. Open a separate bank account and start saving.
So
Absolutely.
Hannah,
Great idea.
I've got my QuickBooks open. Where do you see your items, or where do you see if your items are taxed? I would have to go to each item individually and see if it is taxed. If I look at the list of items, it doesn't show whether it's taxed or not.
So hold on just a minute. Let me get over
Okay.
there. Do you see a tab that says products and services under sales?
Under sales.
And
Of course,
yours
I'm
might be
running an
different.
old, I'm running an old version too, so.
Oh, okay.
Reports may be different.
So I don't actually go into reports to find my what's being taxed in the way of making sure that my service calls aren't being taxed. I am opening my QuickBooks now. So in my desktop version, I'm going to sales and then customers.
Okay.
And then once you get to that customers page, you're going to see at the top, at least in mine, I know yours looks different because a couple of other companies that I do QuickBooks for, they look completely different, which blows my mind. But you'll see overview, all sales, invoices, estimates, deposits, customers, and products and services.
Wow, that's a different thing. Yeah.
So I go into products and services, and I can literally just scroll down and I can look in find products and services. I can type in labor or service call or just things are labor, and then scroll down, and there is a column that I look for a check mark in. If the check mark is there, it's not supposed to be there in labor. So you would go to edit, and then you would scroll all the way down to that sales tax option and just make sure that the little bubble that says non-taxable is clicked.
Yeah.
So it's an easy product. It's an easy thing to solve when you don't have, hundreds of them to go through and uncheck or check.
So does Dave need to do that individually, or can he do that all with one click?
So you have to do each one individually, unfortunately. They do have, you can click the boxes next to a bunch of them, and then you can hit batch actions. But the batch actions button is only for making them inactive or making them non-inventory or making them service. And my QuickBooks doesn't differentiate. So if I made them all service, which I can't, it's grayed out. But if I did that, I would still probably have to come check and make sure they weren't taxed.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll have to search for that. Boy, I'm not seeing some of the pages that you're describing.
Why don't you send me an email? If you want to send me an email later on this evening or tomorrow, I'd be happy to send you some screenshots of what I see.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so my email is TRI county operations with an S at the end, it's plural, at gmail.com.
Thank you.
You got it.
Righty, Dave, thanks for asking the question. Hopefully we get some answers tomorrow, and hopefully we found some value in the meeting. Sorry about the hooligans that find their way into these things, but that's just what you got to deal with the internet these days, unfortunately. So get them out of here as quick as we can and just keep on going. They're not going to rain on our parade. Any other questions, comments, concerns for myself, Hannah, or Jason?
Yeah, well, in Maine, where I am, sales tax is handled very differently than, fortunately, we only have one state sales tax, or no municipalities or counties taxed separately. And on service items like repinning a lock, if I don't charge for the pins, I have to charge the entire service item as a taxable.
Wow.
Wow.
That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awful. I'm glad I
glad-
don't have that problem.
All of a sudden, Colorado's not so bad, huh,
Yeah,
Hannah?
right.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
And I can't do that. What was it? Job lot or bulk or however it was.
Oh, yeah, lump sum contractor.
Lump sum. Yeah, that doesn't exist here.
Ah, doggone it. Well, that's too bad.
So it was interesting to hear about those various alternatives to what we do.
Do you have a CPA? Do you talk to them and see if there's any
No.
other things? Okay, it might be worth it just to get like a one time, maybe if you're not going to even use them every year, but just maybe go pick their brain for an hour or two and say, hey, here's what I've got. Are there any, other things that we can do to cut costs? And that's what I do with my CPA. I don't pay my CPA anything. They save me thousands and thousands of dollars every year. That a good CPA and a good attorney, they don't cost you one penny. They actually save you thousands and thousands of dollars if used properly.
Exactly.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments, concerns from anybody else here tonight? Beautiful. With that, we'll wrap it up. We're just about a couple minutes after an hour. Great meeting. We're going to have another one tomorrow. So use the same link. We'll be back here tomorrow and we'll go over marketing and advertising. Jason Walbert has a lot of information we can go over. So if you want to boost that information and boost those sales for 2023 so you can pay even more taxes next year, join us tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night.
Hey, Wayne, that was my question.
Yeah.
So is this part of the monthly meeting, or it seems like you're kind of putting a little bit more videos out here and there?
So for we got to try and separate everything. I know it seems like I'm doing a lot. I have a every Monday meeting.
He is doing a lot. It doesn't seem like it. He is doing it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. That's the main thing.
If you follow me on Facebook, you'll know what I'm doing. The emails go out if you're a member of Wayne's Lock Shop as well. Emails go out to all the meetings. So we will have one more meeting tomorrow to make up for December because we got caught up in December and it was just family and, business and just we had our lead tech was gone for half the month and just excrement hit the fan from all angles and I simply could not put this meeting on. So I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm just going to make it up tomorrow and then we'll have the same amount of meetings and you're all good to go.
Right.
All righty. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining and attending.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great.
See
Nice
ya.
to see you, Jason.